Hey guys, I'm back! Did anybody out there even notice that I wasn't around for a while? Anyway, so it's February 25th, and I am here because my life is slowly starting to calm down. The first 2 months of 2014 have been insane for me. I was working this crazy schedule, which really wasn't a schedule because I pretty much just worked when they needed me, which was all the time. But I'm sort of going back to my old somewhat regular schedule, and because of that things are starting to calm down, and I'm hoping that because of that I'll be able to get back into the swing of things as far as making videos go, because I did promise that I wanted to go back to making videos on a regular basis. So I am here with my very first reading update video of 2014. Unfortunately, it's kind of a pathetic one because I've only got 3 books to talk about. That's really all I've read over the last month or so. But it's a start. Yes, hopefully as things calm down and I get back into my old routine, I will have time to read more. Before I get into that, I just want to mention right off the bat something really cool that happened to me a couple weeks ago. It doesn't have anything to do with books, so if you have no interest in hearing me talk about something non-book related, feel free to stop the video, fast forward a little bit. Okay, anyway, so some of you may know, and most of you probably don't know, my favorite band is a band called 30 Seconds to Mars. And the lead singer is Jared Leto, who is also an actor. He's nominated for an Academy Award for Dallas Buyers Club, which, by the way, if you have not seen it, you should definitely see it because he's freaking fantastic in it, and so is Matthew McConaughey. But I've been a Jared Leto fangirl for about 10 years, and I've loved the band for close to that. And anyway, long story short, one of my very, very good friends from Canada got me this VIP package to go to a screening of his documentary Artifact, which is a movie about 30 Seconds to Mars lawsuit against from their own record label. Their record label decided to sue them for $30 million. And it was a screening of Artifact in New York City on the 11th of February. And my friend got me this VIP package, which included a screening of the movie, a Q&A with Jared Leto after the movie, and getting to meet him, get a DVD signed, and get my picture taken with him. Yeah, so there's that. I have had the opportunity to meet some famous people in my life, but I have never been so incredibly just starstruck and just overwhelmed. I am not ashamed to say that I totally geeked out and fangirled out, and I have very little memory. I have no memory of the actual picture being taken, which is probably why I look like such a complete dork, but he looks gorgeous as hell, and it's going to go down in history as one of the best moments of my life. And I just wanted to share it with you, so I will insert the picture here, and please ignore my dorky self. Just look at the prettiness that is Jared Leto. Okay, moving on to the actual books that I managed to read. Okay, so I read 2 books in the Hallows series by Kim Harrison. I read Every Which Way But Dead and A Fistful of Charms. This is book 3 and 4, respectively. I read the first 2 books of the series years ago. I think probably when the second book came out is when I read them. And to be quite honest, I wasn't really that impressed with either one of them. I don't know, Rachel, for those of you who don't know, I think most of you probably already at least know what these books are about. It's an urban fantasy series about a witch named Rachel Morgan, who is sort of like a private eye bounty hunter slash thing, and she lives with a living vampire named Ivy, and her she's also partners with Ivy, and her other partner is a pixie named Jenks. And yeah, so anyway, Rachel is a very frustrating character for me. I don't really like her very much, and it just seems to just stay in line with the problems that I have with a lot of female characters in books that I've been reading over the last 6 months or so. She's just very whiny, especially in the first 2 books. She's extremely whiny, and I just want to smack her a lot of the time. She spends a lot of time feeling sorry for herself. and that bothers me. So I can only take this series in small doses. Having said that, this book I gave 3.5. Well, I gave it, I think I rounded up to 4 stars on Goodreads, or maybe I gave it 3. I'm not sure. But I enjoyed it. It was okay. It was good. It was better than the first 2, I believe. This book I really ended up liking. I know I gave this 4 stars. I think the main reason why I like this book so much is the whole fact that Jenks was such a huge part of this book. No pun intended. I absolutely love him. His character is the main reason why I want to continue with the series, because I love him. He is such a snarky little smartass. And in this book, this is the book, for those of you who haven't read it or are so far ahead of me in the series that you don't remember, this is the book where, and it doesn't really give anything away to say this, this is the book that Rachel made him big. And they go on an investigation together, and he instead of being little 4-inch pixie size, he's a 6'4" hunk of burn and love man meat. Really, really hot. Yeah. Anyway, I love his character because he's so sweet and funny, and his character and Kristen, they're the reasons why I keep going on the series. Although I'm going to say it right now, because in case I get comments later, I already know what happens to Kristen later in the series, which is kind of making me leery about continuing on with it. But yeah, I really hate it when authors do that. When authors do what she did to Kristen's character later in the series, I really hate that. And yeah, which is kind of why I had to take a little bit of a break. So I think I'm only going to end up being able to read 1 or 2 books in the series at a time. Mainly because of my problem with Rachel. But I do like the series, like it well enough to continue on with it. Sue from Sue's Book Nook will be happy to know that, because I know this is one of her favorite series. And in fact, when I went back to the series and I decided to start reading it again, I actually tweeted her and told her I was going to read it, and she was very excited. The only other book I managed to read, and I actually read this book in a little over a day, which is like a record for me lately. I haven't read a book this fast in quite a while. And it is The Good Luck of Right Now by Matthew Quick. Matthew Quick wrote a little something called The Silver Linings Playbook, which I'm sure most of you have heard, if not read. And I found this in Target, actually, when I was just looking around for something to read. And I was a little leery to pick this one up because although I absolutely loved the movie version of Silver Linings Playbook, I wasn't a huge fan of the book. I thought the book was a little dull. But just the description of this book sounded so cool and so different. I decided I would pick it up, and I'm so glad I did, because it was such a great book. I was all over Twitter saying that this was hands down probably the best book that I've read in the last 6 months, and I definitely mean it. Do take into consideration the fact that I haven't done very much reading in the last 6 months, but still, it's a damn good book. And just to give you a quick little rundown, because this is brand new, it just came out I think last week or the week before. This book is just about entirely comprised of letters to actor Richard Gere. And there is a reason for that. The main character of this book is a guy named Bartholomew, who's 38 years old, and he's lived his entire life with his mother, and his mother has recently passed away. And before she died, she sort of went into dementia because she had brain cancer. And she began calling Bartholomew Richard because Richard Gere was her favorite actor. And so she was hallucinating that Bartholomew was Richard. And instead of being upset by this, Bartholomew kind of took comfort in this because he's always been a big fan of pretending. Pretending is a very big part of his life, and he finds it very comforting, especially facing his mother's illness. So after she passes away, he finds this sort of form letter advertisement from Richard Gere to his mother in her underwear drawer, and is pretty much, trying to get her to support his charity for the Tibetan monks. Anyway, Bartholomew takes this as a sign that him and Richard Gere are sort of kindred spirits. And so he begins to write these letters to Richard Gere, explaining about his life, about his... Hang on a second. That was awkward. Yeah, my friend, the guy that's a friend, that is a boy, that is my friend, that is not my boyfriend, just called, and that was his ringtone. But sorry about that. Let's get back to this. Okay, so Bartholomew um, starts writing these letters to Richard Gere, and he thinks of him as a kindred spirit, and he starts telling him about his life and about everything that happened up to and after his mom passed away. He sort of forms this sort of motley crew of friends that sort of becomes his surrogate family, and this book is about his journey. And this book was just fantastic. I loved it so much. It's one of those books where I finished it and I wanted to hug it because I couldn't help but smile reading a lot of this book. It was great, and it was a big old 5, big old 5-star read for me on Goodreads. So yeah. As for what I'm reading right now, I have decided, because the new book is coming out, I believe, in May. It's usually in March. He's totally screwing with my head by putting it out in May. But the new Harry Dresden book, which is called Skin Game, comes out in May. I have decided to go back and read the series again, and I am on book 3, which is called Grave Peril. I've read the first 2 books in the series a couple of times. I read the first book like 3 or 4 times. The second book I've read twice. The second book is probably my least favorite book of the series. But the weird thing is that I've never read any of the other books over again. And this book I read like 6 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, and I'm reading this and I'm like halfway through. I don't remember most of this book. And it's like I'm reading it and I'm experiencing it for the first time all over again, which is really, really cool. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's what I've read over the last month or so, and hopefully I'll be able to do these more regularly now. Yeah, so I will see you guys next time. I guess I have a phone call to return. Yeah, anyway, I will talk to you later, guys, and until next time, happy reading. Bye!